progressions of body weight pulling exercises, pull-ups, rows, that sort of thing. Before we get started, just real quick, rows, pull-ups, basically about the same exercise. I know a lot of people claim they're radically different, but this is a case of technical fragmentation of muscle tension, where there may be a big difference for some people, but it should be less and less over time. Because with a row, if the humerus is here, we're pulling back, we're bringing the shoulder back like so. With a pull-up, we just start higher, and we pass through the same general range of motion at the bottom of each pull-up. So even though we may be in a slightly different position, we may be pulling in a bit of a different way, the motion at the joint is largely the same, or at least it should be, and the muscle activation shouldn't be that much different. Anyway, let's get started with the rows. We're doing this off suspension trainers. This is my Bowline trainer. You can search on my channel for Bowline suspension trainer and find out how to make your own for like 10 bucks. We're just gonna start off with an angle, and we're pulling ourselves up. Very big range of motion. Keep tension in your biceps, your shoulders, your lats, your entire back, also your glutes and your hamstrings. Getting down lower is going to make this much more difficult. We'll get down to the point where you're eventually in what I call the table row, where your knees are bent at 90 degrees and you're forming kind of like a table. Then you can extend your legs, and it's even more difficult so because of the length of your body. You can also make this a little bit more difficult with crossing your feet, so you have less support from your lower body as well. Once you get to that point, you could start with seated pull-ups, where you bring your handles to the height where you're seated on the floor and you're pulling yourself up. The more your feet are closer to your hips, the easier this is going to be. And just as with the table rows, the more you extend out your legs, the more difficult it will be. You can also cross your legs like so, and that's going to be a much more difficult way. This is a great exercise for really helping you dial in the tension in your back and learning how to keep tension at the bottom position with your arms overhead and pulling your chest up into your hands. It also gives you the freedom to have whatever grip position you like with the suspension trainers. Once you're on there, you're probably gonna be pretty close to getting a full-on pull-up. You can bring up the handles higher so that you have less assistance from your legs. Or you may even be able to just give the full-on pull-ups a shot. With these types of pull-ups, don't feel like it has to be perfect the first time out. Remember, getting a good exercise, good workout, depends on tension in the muscle. Technique is way distant second. You can have sloppy technique to start off with. It's kind of like writing a rough draft for a report or something. It's not going to be perfect at first. That's perfectly okay. You need something to clean up. So it's just like writing that rough draft. It's okay if it's a little sloppy. It's not perfect, but clean it up over time. That's where your progress is going to be. Driving your chest up into your hands, coming down into a full range of motion here, keeping your abs tense, your glutes, your hamstrings as well, making sure that your tension doesn't turn off at the bottom position. Once you're starting to get comfortable with the full hanging pull-up, start working towards using the center line element to bring your hands in closer. So now you have the close grip pull-up as well. This requires a lot more dexterity in your shoulders, keeping the back of your shoulders on and your lats as well, and also having your elbows point forward as much as possible. From here, you can start to walk one of your arms out a little bit. I like to use a towel for assistance work, if you will. So basically, we're progressing towards more of a single arm style pull-up with one arm helping or assisting, keeping that arm in tight, keeping your lats engaged. And there's a little bit of a slight twist with this type of exercise where you're slightly twisting towards your working arm. Eventually, your arm gets all the way out to the side, and you're getting some pretty good amount of resistance through that one working side of your body. And then you can move on to where you have one arm behind your back and you've got your full arm, one arm pull-up going on. So there's basic pulling progression exercises for you. More stuff here, comments below. Be fit, live free.